Why can one comment, one delayed reply, or one look ruin your entire day? Someone changes a sentence you wrote, and it feels like disrespect. Your partner asks a simple question, and you hear criticism. A friend succeeds, and beneath the smile you give them, something sharp begins to ache. The moment is small. The reaction is enormous. So you tell yourself, you are too sensitive, too angry, too much. But what if the size of the reaction is not proof that your emotion is wrong? What if it is evidence that the emotion is carrying more history than the moment can explain? On Monday morning, Noah Kim would change 7 words in Leah Moreno's campaign. Before lunch, she would accuse him of taking her work. Before dinner, she would hear the same accusation in her mother's voice, though her mother never said it. And by the end of the night, Leah would discover that the person she was fighting was not the person in front of her. Hi, I'm Sarah, and this is Wise Mind Stories. In this episode, you'll learn how to read a trigger without obeying it, why anger can be useful information, and how to translate an outsized reaction into the need, boundary, or desire underneath it. 7 words. Daniel was asleep on the couch when Leah came home from the anniversary dinner she had missed. The lamp beside him was still on. A rolled set of architectural drawings rested against his chest. Leah stood in the doorway holding the brass compass. Daniel. He opened his eyes, saw the bag, and sat up. I'm sorry, she said. He looked at the clock. I know. Priya changed the project structure. The board. I don't need the timeline. I'm trying to explain. You always explain the event. You never explain you. Leah had no answer ready. Daniel took a blanket from the chair and went into the bedroom alone. All weekend, Leah waited for him to continue the fight. He did not. By Monday, the silence felt worse than anger. At work, Noah had already reorganized the Haven schedule. He had moved final campaign decisions into a shared document and assigned one owner to each approval. It was efficient. Leah hated it immediately. On the top of the campaign page, her original line, "One bottle, a lighter home," had become "a cleaner home, less left behind." 7 words. Leah felt heat rise through her chest before she had finished reading them. Who approved this? Noah looked up from across the table. The team preferred it, in testing. That's not what I asked. Priya asked me to keep decisions moving. The room grew quiet. Moving does not mean rewriting my work. Noah's expression changed. Not anger. Something closer to disappointment. It was a draft, Leah. It was the strategy. No. The strategy is helping people reduce waste without making their lives harder. The sentence is a sentence. Leah heard only one part. The sentence is nothing. Your work is nothing. You are replaceable. She closed the laptop. Put it back. Noah looked toward the rest of the team. Then he said, "We'll take 10 minutes." Chairs moved. People left without looking at Leah. The moment and the meaning. A trigger is not simply something you dislike. It is a present event that activates an older emotional meaning with unusual force. The event happens now. The meaning may have been written years ago. Brianna Wiest treats triggers as guides not because every reaction is accurate, and not because the person who triggered you has done nothing wrong, but because the intensity can reveal where pain, fear, desire, or an unmet need is still stored. Noah changed a headline. That was the observable event. Leah's mind translated it instantly. You are being replaced. That was the meaning. We confuse the two because they arrive together. The body reacts before the story introduces itself. Your chest tightens, your face warms. Your stomach drops. Then the mind searches for a reason that makes the reaction feel justified. And because emotion is already present, the reason feels true. A trigger is a messenger. It is not always a reliable narrator. The goal is not to shame the reaction or let it control the room. The goal is to ask what message it carried. Leah did not ask. Not yet. The stairwell. Priya found her in the concrete stairwell between the third and fourth floors. You embarrassed Noah in front of his team. My team. Priya let the correction hang between them. That, she said, is the problem. Leah folded her arms. You put him in operational lead. Now he's replacing the work before I'm even in the room. He tested a line, without me. Why does that frighten you? It doesn't frighten me. Then why are you angry? Leah looked through the narrow stairwell window at the tracks below. Anger was easier than the word beneath it. Scared. Wiest argues that anger has been flattened into its worst expression, aggression. But healthy anger can be mobilizing. It can tell us that a boundary has been crossed, that something feels unjust, or that change is overdue. Anger is energy. It wants movement. The problem begins when we fire that energy at a person before we understand what it is asking us to change. Leah's anger said, "Something important is being taken from you." But the action it actually required might not have been taking the headline back. It might have been learning how to lead without owning every decision. It might have been asking for clarity about her role. It might have been admitting that being needed had become the only form of belonging she trusted. Anger can show you the boundary. Wisdom decides what to do at the border. Priya stepped closer. If you want Haven back, repair this with Noah. I created Haven. And now you have to become someone who can share it. The person she envied. At noon, Leah saw the team eating together on the loading dock. Noah was telling a story. The designer who had barely spoken during Leah's meetings was laughing so hard she covered her face. Leah told herself the scene was unprofessional. Then she watched for another minute. What she felt was not only anger, it was envy. Envy is another emotion we often reduce to a character defect, but in Wiest's framework, what disturbs us can reveal what we have forbidden ourselves to want. Leah did not want Noah's title. She wanted his ease. He could leave when his daughter was sick without turning it into a referendum on his value. He could let another person improve an idea without experiencing it as erasure. He could be respected without becoming the emergency system for the entire company. Leah had judged that ease because she did not know how to permit it in herself. Sometimes resentment is grief for a freedom you have not given yourself. She went downstairs. The laughter faded as she approached. Noah, can we talk? They stood beside the freight door. Leah had rehearsed an apology on the stairs. It began with, I'm sorry you felt. She heard the evasion before she said it. I was wrong, she said instead. You changed a line. I treated it like you were taking the project. Noah studied her face. Were you? She asked. Taking it? She nodded. I was trying to keep it alive. The answer hurt because she believed him. I'm sorry, Leah said. Noah's shoulders lowered, but only slightly. I accept the apology. I don't trust the pattern yet. It was not forgiveness as reunion. It was forgiveness with a boundary. Leah wanted to argue that she had apologized. Instead, she nodded. An apology can repair a moment. Only behavior repairs a pattern. Rosa's table. That evening, Leah and Daniel drove to Rosa's house for Mateo's birthday dinner. They had barely spoken since Friday. Rosa served chicken with roasted peppers and kept asking Daniel if he had enough food, though his plate was full. Mateo opened a gift from Leah, a leather messenger bag he had once admired in a store window. This is too much, he said. You said you liked it. I did, 6 months ago. Rosa smiled at Leah. Your sister remembers everything. She always takes care of us. It was meant as praise. Leah heard a sentence underneath it. This is what makes you valuable. Mateo placed the bag beside his chair. You know you don't have to do all this, right? Do what? Buy the best gift, fix Mom's insurance, handle every reservation. Rosa waved a hand. She likes helping. Daniel looked down at his plate. Leah saw the look. What? She said. Nothing. No, say it. Daniel hesitated. Sometimes helping is how you make sure nobody can leave. The room became still. Leah's fork struck the plate. That is a cruel thing to say. I'm not trying to be cruel. At my brother's birthday? You asked me to say it. Rosa began clearing dishes that were not finished. Leah turned to her. And you're just going to walk away? Rosa froze. Leah, enough. The tone was small, tired. But Leah was suddenly 16 again, standing in the kitchen while overdue notices disappeared into a drawer, and her mother said everything was fine. Enough questions. Enough feelings. Be useful. Do not make things harder. Leah pushed back from the table. Of course, I'm useful when there's a problem, and too much when I have one. She left before anyone could answer. The second reversal. Daniel found her sitting in the parked car. For several minutes, he stood outside without opening the door. Then, Leah unlocked it. He sat in the passenger seat. I shouldn't have said that at dinner, he said. Leah stared through the windshield. Was it true? Partly. She laughed once, without humor. Great apology. You think I'm accusing you of being manipulative, aren't you? No. I think you learned that being needed was safer than simply being loved. There it was. The same wound in a different room. Noah changed a headline, and Leah heard, You are replaceable. Mateo questioned a gift, and Leah heard, What you give is unwanted. Daniel asked for closeness, and Leah heard, Prove you deserve me first. The people were different. The trigger was the same. Leah had believed the problem was that people failed to appreciate how much she carried. The deeper problem was that carrying everything had become the evidence she used to prove she mattered. That was the emotional reversal. She was not furious because other people were taking too much from her. She was furious because she did not know who she would be if they stopped needing what she gave. What repeatedly wounds you may be pointing toward the identity you are afraid to lose. Daniel turned the brass compass over in his hand. I don't need you to earn the seat next to me, he said. But I do need you to be in it. Leah looked back at the house. Through the dining room window, she could see Rosa wrapping leftovers and Mateo washing dishes. For once, the room was functioning without her. It hurt. And beneath the hurt was a strange, unfamiliar relief. Practical payoff. The trigger translation. The next time a small moment creates a large reaction, do not begin by proving the reaction right or wrong. Translate it. Use 3 short sentences. What happened? Name only what a camera could record. What did I make it mean? Name the interpretation your mind added. What might I need? Maybe clarity, respect, rest, reassurance, a boundary, permission to want something you have judged in others. For Leah, the translation was simple. What happened? Noah changed a headline. What I made it mean, I am being replaced. What I need, to know my value, is larger than my control over the work. This practice does not mean tolerating disrespect. It means making sure you respond to the event that happened, not every older event that arrived with it. Your triggers are not commands, they are clues. Anger may reveal a boundary. Envy may reveal a desire. Defensiveness may reveal an identity that no longer feels safe. Your task is not to become impossible to trigger. It is to become curious before the reaction chooses a consequence for you. Tonight, use the trigger translation on one moment: what happened, what you made it mean, and what you might need. If you want the next chapter of Leah's story, subscribe to Wise Mind Stories. On Tuesday morning, Leah would receive a calendar invitation with 3 words in the title: Haven Leadership Transition. Before asking a single question, she would decide what it meant. And this time, the danger would not come from what she felt. It would come from the future she invented because of it. Next episode teaser. Leah sees Haven Leadership Transition on her calendar and mistakes 3 neutral words for a verdict on her future. Her attempt to protect herself may become the very evidence used against her.